You're listening to the Bleach Brothers podcast, hosted by B-Word and Jake.
Welcome to the Bleach Brothers podcast. This is B-Word, and I'm introducing Jake the Hater. Jake the Hater, how you doing tonight, bud?
It's because you're better at introductions than me. Novels, how there's like some novels just open to chapter 1 and then there's the preface. Yeah. I'm like that preface that nobody wants to read and they're disappointed that it's there and they have to read that bullshit. I feel like that's how you are when you introduce.
That's a really great analogy.
I thought so.
Yeah.
But for once, I'm going to introduce somebody. This is actually a good buddy of mine. We go back quite a bit. His name's Jordan Robinson. I'm going to say your full name if that's cool.
Absolutely.
With the Cover Zero podcast. We met a while back at an ESPN radio competition.
Yes, we did.
And since then we've became friends, and he had another number of podcasts, I believe. And we actually were going to start one once and it never came to fruition, but welcome on, bro.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. But
yeah,
yes,
welcome.
We've crossed sports radio paths in many different ways, and we've had you on back in the day with the Bearded Sports guys. We had you on there several times. We've done fantasy drafts, and we've shared many beers, laughs, and football memories together as well. And it's just now good for us to have the paths intersect again. And yeah, very glad to be on with you too, B-Word.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for coming on. Can you tell us a little bit about your podcast and shout out where we can find it and all of that sort of stuff?
Yeah, it's the Cover Zero podcast. Now, there's 2 Cover Zero podcasts that are basically surfacing around the socials. And the one that has the 3 Irish lads on it, I mean, I don't know if you can tell from my voice, but, DNA in me, whatever that is, says that I am mostly Irish. But, when you listen to me, I would not define myself as an Irish lad. But nonetheless, it's the Cover Zero and the SSAW network, Specialized Sports Analysis Worldwide. We have an entire network of podcasts. My branch is just the football, us with Cover Zero, me and my boy Josiah, Henry, Brandy. We have my fantasy guy, Chase McCoy, our great producer, Abraham, and then the guy that's spearheading the whole SSAW network is CJ Cuevas. And it started from various social media groups, and then they just one by one found people to fill in each different podcast. So we have Cover Zero, which is me. In my group, we have Full Court Press, which is our basketball guys. We have Diamond Talk, shout out to them. That's our baseball guys. We've got right now our wrestling group is killing it. Ringside Mayhem. They're doing a lot. It's a husband and wife. Wow, Rose and Lasite on it that are mainly like the drivers of that show. And it's a lot. Then we have Osa and Abe, Pop Culture and Hoops. Yeah, we got a lot. So check us out, Cover Zero Podcast and the SSAW Network.
Now, are you guys, when you're doing your show, are all your hosts always on, or do you guys like interchange, or like how often are you like also like putting out and stuff?
So we do, now that it's in season for Cover Zero specifically, we put out a show that drops Thursday morning that gets you set up for the weekend. So that's going to get you set up for your weekend of football. And there's going to be fantasy advice on there, starter sit, daily plays, things like that, bets you might want to take. And then we have a reaction show that drops Monday morning after all that Sunday mayhem has ended. So we have those 2. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple. Big shout out to Mega Seats, one of our sponsors, as well as I Am Wise Coffee. Both of those most definitely check out. There's some great discounts if you enter in the code Cover Zero for both, or for if you're on megaseats.com, enter in SSAW. Get to it, Jake. I know you're a music head just like me. You know what I mean? So get back to concerts and use that code and save yourself 10% in the process. So
I will, because I'll actually tell B-Word this. One of my favorite things is you tag me in a lot of things on Facebook, which is cool because it gets conversations going, I think. But I actually am missing it right now when you do the best rap albums of the year.
Yeah.
And I break it all down.
Yeah. I took a step back on that because of the podcast. I watch a lot of All 22 tape and All 22 film. That's the next thing I'm looking into. It's breaking down game film on YouTube and things like that and on Twitter. So that's the next step. And what I'm basically just getting used to is regularly watching films. So yeah, my music listening has taken a back seat, but
Yeah, I will say I'm
not
glad you include me though, because my my picks I know usually is like the outside the box guy. Everybody's like, ICP, really? Yeah, I don't care. I'll pay yo, bro. Whoop whoop.
Oh, that's funny. Well, no. So having you on right now actually is good timing. We're near the start of the football season. We're all football fans, and we just kind of want to bring you on here and talk a little bit about some game day food items, some football movies, and a little bit of speculation. So, what I want to do here, real quick. So, Jake is obviously our specialist when we start talking about food and drink and all that sort of stuff. So, Jake, talk to me a little bit about what you do game day as far as food goes.
So I'm going to preface with, I think I have a theory that people don't actually know when they should serve food, because that's one of my biggest complaints when I go to a buddy's house to it's a controversial topic. Like tailgating's obvious. You eat before. You might eat at halftime if you've drank too much, and then hopefully you don't puke it on somebody. But when you show up to somebody's house, there's two types of people. There's the people that serve right when you get there and it's all ready, and the people that serve at halftime. Now, the problem with the people that serve at halftime, sometimes all they're doing is cooking the whole damn thing because they picked the wrong type of food items. So that also goes hand in hand with when you're going to serve your food, right?
Yeah.
You can do both, and I think that's fine. But my traditional way is to always serve right when you get there, and I do a lot like charcuterie plates, light eats, enough for beer, nothing all too hot. The other reason is I never really have success with people eating the food when it's hot and ready and trying to get them to go up there and eat it. And here's the thing. Perfect example. We have a good friend together, Jordan, Travis Demers. So I get invited to a big, I get invited to this big party, right? And he tells me it's about 40 people. So I cook about 30 pounds of pulled pork. I make 4 sauces, apple bacon coleslaw, one of my specialties, right? Nobody eats it. And there was a few reasons. One, I served it hot right at the beginning of the game and everybody was ready to eat later in the game. They were already eating snack foods and stuff. 2, they went to what they were comfortable with, the taquitos, the basic stuff, the mid temperature food. And I've found that is more successful because you don't have to worry about it getting cold on you. Yeah, if you're just going to do burgers and hot dogs, it's fine. You feed them everybody at halftime, you sit them down, you get it over with. But if you're going to serve a party, I think you need to put it all out first, and you actually need to go with more snacks and lukewarm food than trying to do a whole big shebang. Unless you do the BYOB rule, if somebody bringing a 7-layer dip. But I don't know, B-Word, what do you think on that?
I don't know, man. I think halftime's probably the best time. I'll agree with you on that. For me, in my football parties, if I'm having people over, if I'm cooking, candidly, there's really nothing wrong with pizza and wings. I think you can't go wrong with pizza and wings, especially if you're bringing out the beer. And again, cold pizza's not bad. And cold wings, they're not bad if you reheat them, if you like them warm. So I like the pizza and wings, but I do think that there is a need for snacks, whether it's crackers, little vegetable trays, sliced fruit, something like that in the beginning of it. And then by halftime, you're chowing down on the food. I think that's probably the best way to go. What do you think?
Yeah, but
Jordan?
you seem like you're ordering in more. Am I wrong?
Well, is that a fat joke there, Jay?
Oh, no, wow. I'm just saying. You just said.
I thought
are you really making all the pizza and wings?
I thought you said, Jake, you're gonna wait on the heat. Isn't that what you said? Like, you don't know if you want to do the heat right away, but like, here you go.
Well, I'm just saying, like he said, pizza and wings. I don't think B-Word's making all those pies and all those wings, if I'm being honest. Am I wrong here?
Probably the pies, maybe not the wings. But
okay, good for you then. Good for you. I'm sorry, I was wrong.
Yeah, well, you know what? Go fuck yourself, Jake.
Hey, cold pizza is like sex. Pizza's like sex, though. When it's good, it's really good, and when it's bad, it's still pretty good. Because B-Word, you look like you would fuck a Totino's pizza roll.
You would assume that I haven't.
Oh, I'm sure you have, dude. I've watched American Pie with you. I've seen you get excited over a Hot Pocket. When Jim Gaffigan talks about it, your dick got hard once.
Oh yeah, dude,
you were looking at his dick when you were watching the movie.
Hey, dude, we do some homoerotic shit on here. I'm not going to complain.
Hey, yeah, that's hey, if it floats your boat,
That's Jake for you.
So, Jordan, what do you think?
So, I'm a big proponent of. I feel like stages are right, and the timing is key, like you said, Jake. Also, and then it was also what you touched on too, B-Word. Like at the beginning, what I like to do for food, my first thing when people come in is drinks first, right? Because that's what you show up for. And then I like to have a mixture of drinks. I mean, Jake, you know this about me. I'm a beer snob. I fully own my title. I try to say connoisseur. It just comes off as snob. So, let's just call a spade a spade. So I have good mixtures of beer selections for anyone that might want to try something early. I tend to stick to the lagers and the pilsners. And then guacamole. Because that works with just about any type of other like snack food. You could use a cracker. You can use vegetables. You could use chips. And if you have like a spicy chip and a regular salty tortilla with your own homemade guac, that's the thing. I make a fire guac. I make a big fire guac. My wife's mom makes this cream toom. It's like with egg whites. It's basically like just your garlic dip, and that's a big key within my guac. And smash all the avocado. Just go through that before everybody shows up. Throw like half an onion in there, some garlic. Mm-hmm. You get the guac right. That will tide everybody over until that halftime, or until that time when that food is ready. You know what I mean? Drinks and snacks, you're set. Maybe put out a little bit of meat, charcuterie board type of thing if you want to go big. And then after that, I'm with you, be a word, wings. Wings. My cousin Jace came over this weekend. We actually had a nice Saturday like layout at the house for like a moving thing. We've been here about 2 months now. And on Saturday morning, we had like a bagel spread for everybody. Different kinds of bagels, different kinds of cream cheese to go with that, orange juice, coffee. And then and some fruit. And then after that, in the lunchtime, it was sandwich spread. Make your own sandwich. And then my cousin came over and cooked wings. You know what I mean? When those wings come in late, it's just it's perfect.
It's the spot, man.
It does.
Yeah, it's
so. Jordan, did you have lox with your bagels though?
Did not have lox. Was missing the lox.
Killing me, bro.
Okay. Look, we picked them up. Shout out Jazzy Bagels out here in Gresham. It's my spot. No lox.
That's fine. That happens, man. I mean, I get it. Especially being in the industry right now, how shortages are. It's sort of a nightmare. Yeah. No, I agree with you with guacamole. I'm always afraid of oxidation on it, just to be upfront. Just like you were saying, I do hummus because I think it carries with everything as well.
Yeah.
But guac, I mean, I bet you make a fire one. I mean, we've had conversations because I was going to ask you, I know you're a beer snob, but do you ever do the mixed drinks too? Or do you feel like that's too much work?
So with me, I generally will have like liquor at the house that's available, but I don't drink. I don't drink liquor anymore. I'll do liquor on a very celebratory occasion. Like in 2020, I had liquor on New Year's Eve and the day we beat the Chiefs, we being the Las Vegas Raiders. Those are the only 2 days I had liquor, and it was just neat. And I had, sipped on the shot, some nice stuff. So, but yeah, no beer. I can do some Trulies, keep the cows down and that sort of thing. But enjoy yourself.
Nice. No, we're gonna share too. I did a recipe, and this is a hot dip. I do a big game chorizo queso dip in my cast iron pan. We're gonna share that with the video we did with TV, and then we'll put the recipe up too for everybody. But I mean, it's essentially cooking down. I love chorizo. I just love
chorizo.
I knew you were going to go there. What is wrong with you? No, I like cooking it down, but even though it's a hot dip, it's one of those things, though, it carries over for the next day where you could put it on like a breakfast burrito stuff. So it's one of those things I like leftovers and reusing stuff and not waste. So we'll put that up. I think that'll be very, very, people try it out. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, boys. So I've got a question for you. Keeping in the football theme, there's a ton of American football movies out there. And I have to say American football because we know our friends that like the football or the soccer, as we like to call it. They get really defensive when we don't say American football. So, but
soccer sucks. But
yeah, I don't disagree with you. But here's what I'm going to say.
Do y'all respect soccer?
Yes.
I respect the game. I don't respect the players because they flop too much. But I mean, so does LeBron. So what are we going to do?
Yeah, LeBron James does the exact same thing.
Yeah. So like, yeah, B-Word says straight up, I respect it too, but I'm like, again, I don't watch soccer like that. I just don't.
I don't even play FIFA on the PS4, PS5. Like it's just not my thing, man. Like I tried to get into soccer and it just wasn't my jam. I definitely respect it, though. I mean, there's so many things within soccer that you have to pay attention to. The size of the fields are different depending on which pitch you're on. The rules are just crazy. How you can go to all these different leagues and try to compete. It's pretty intricate, man. So for those hardcore football fans, European football fans, I respect them for sure, but it's just not my jam.
I got you.
Well, I respect them because there's two things. One, I love when they bring out the Pokemon card when somebody's in trouble. That's my favorite move on soccer. When you get a Charizard and you're kicked off the field, or a Pikachu and you're a little bit in trouble. Two is that you sing at your opponent, like the crowd, to make them feel dumb. Because I mean, that is a baller move right there. You could sit there and sing a Frank Sinatra song and it makes the other team feel uncomfortable. That's legit. It reminds me of softball. Like when the girls would chatter and sing the whole damn time, I'm just like, except it's manly dudes drunk with a thick ass accent, like I've been blowing bubbles. It's just like, dude, that's pretty fucking kick ass. I'll give you that. But the one thing I hate is when people compare it to hockey, like it's hockey on grass, or and I'm like, no. Now I played indoor soccer when I worked for Nordstrom in Vegas. We had a sponsored team called the Nordy Dogs, and I got convinced to play because indoor soccer is played in hockey rinks. And I got kicked out of the first 6 games because I got in a fight every game. And I was a real aggressive because they told me the rules were the same, and they are not the same. You cannot lay people on the boards. You cannot just elbow and kick people and jump check and all that. I played one co-ed game, and I was asked to never play another one again. But I will say the girl I was covering, because I was a defender, never scored a goal. So good for me because she got
flattened her out, bro.
Well, I don't care. If you get 2 goals and I get 1, I'm just making it equality, dude. I'm going to lay you the fuck out.
Who told you that the rules are the same? Were y'all at the club and someone told you this in Vegas? Like someone told you?
No, they needed somebody on the team really bad, and they knew I was a defender in hockey. So they're like, Jake, you can come. And here's the main reason. I had this guy named Dio that was my friend at UNLV, and he was a really good goalie. He was on the team, like the backup goalie, and we called him Holy Diver. And I remember they're like, hey, Jake, can you also, after I get on the team, like, can you bring your buddy Dio? So I was only brought because my he was so good. And then they put me on the field and then instantly regretted it because I was just lighting people up and having a blast. Wow. But, a lot of penalty minutes.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, so anyways, American football movies.
So how many Charizard cards did you get?
Oh, a lot, dude.
5 a game. 5 a game. That's funny. So I was going through some lists trying to prepare for this episode. And I know that we talked beforehand. And I basically challenged everybody here to come up with their top 5 football movies. Now, we can do this in a few different ways. We can kind of go around round table, or we can just do top 5 or whatever, however you guys want to do this. But on my list here, I've got a top 5, and then I've got 2 honorable mentions.
I'm going to say we start with Jordan because I'm going to tell you right now, B-word, for once in our life, I think we have the same number 1, and it sucks to say that.
I don't think we do. I don't think we do.
Whatever then. Jordan's going first anyways. Shut up.
All right, Jordan, what do you got?
So as I would lead this off, it depends where I start because I want to go bottom to top. And
okay, that's
the one question that I would have is this, and this was a question that I actually debated with the shout out to the football group on Sunday. My cousin Rob, brother Sante, and my dad and me, we always watch the game together. And so I posed it to all of them because they're all movie guys just like us and football guys just like us. Is Remember the Titans a football movie, or is that just a drama where football is an element of it, but it's bigger than just a football movie?
Let me ask you this. Is Gremlins or Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Die Hard, yes. Gremlins, no.
Oh, you're okay. Well, okay, you're wrong on one, but yeah, so it's a football movie.
Yeah, it's a football movie in my opinion too.
All right, so that changes within where I start. So my number 5 is Replacements.
Okay.
Replacements with Shane Falco, Keanu Reeves, Gene Hackman. I love that movie because
I love when
jacked off an elephant. He's got stickum on his hands. That movie's so underrated.
Love that movie.
I feel like every time I put it on, it's like, yeah, it works. I get my football, I get my comedy. Right. I feel like it just kind of hits the mix of the two,
right,
perfectly. And the cast in it works out on. There's quotables. There's all these different cast of characters, but it kind of shows the essence of football of like all these different people can get together and be a bunch of just dumb shits and dipshits in their own way, but yet they get together and reunite through football and do something better than, you know, whatever they can do. You know what I mean? The essence of a team. You know what I mean?
They
thing I
reunited
love
through
about that
the
movie,
electric
too-
slide, though.
They did.
I also love
In
those.
jail.
It's
Yes.
essentially though the Redskins or the Washington football team versus the Cowboys. Let's be honest with ourselves, and it
Yeah.
does actually pertain to when there was scabs in the pro league with the thing. So I also like
Mhm.
movies that sort of play into the true story as well. But I agree
Yeah.
with you. I'll tell you right now, it's not going to make my top 5, but I'm going to
That's-
give this one away. It is one of my honorable mentions.
Okay.
It is.
I also have
It
a
is in my
super
top
crush.
5.
It's in your top
I
5,
have a
B-word?
s-
Yep.
Yeah. And I have
Nice.
a super crush on that cheerleader that Falco gets with.
Yeah,
She's got
she's
a good
hot,
nose,
man.
bro. She's got a good nose.
She got a good nose, nice skin
Oh,
complexion. She drives like a maniac. That was like an unsung thing. How does this chick not have, like, she works at a bar and she drives that crazy. How does she not have like 12 DUIs? I mean, if we're going to be really on the football here, you know?
One.
Well, she's probably not drunk. That's the only reason. She looks like she doesn't drink.
Yeah, she's tiny.
No. All right. So what's your number 4, bro?
All right. Moving into number 4, I would have to go with, this was tough. This was very tough. 4 and 3 were very tough. So I would have to go, what I ended up on is Waterboy at number 4.
Okay.
Waterboy at number 4, Bobby Boucher. Like, just there wasn't a football movie that, and it's, I will rewatch it again nowadays, and I don't die laughing because I've seen it so many times, and you know, the shock value is kind of removed. But the first time I saw that movie, and granted, it also hit my age, you know, born in '85. So the first time I saw that movie, I'm like roughly, you know, middle school ish, you know, kind of getting into football. I was just dying laughing. I remember just like gut busting, dying laughing, watching football. It was cool. It was fun, you know. And yeah, so Waterboy would be number 4 for me.
That's a great flick. I love everything about it. That's one of those. It actually goes in a category which again didn't make my top 5 because it is watchable. I could watch it anytime, but I'm not like. I think there's other movies for different reasons, but like I'll ask you this one, and I'll ask to both of you, B-word as well. What is a better Adam Sandler sports movie, Happy Gilmore or The Waterboy?
That's a good question.
I'm going to say Happy Gilmore.
Me too.
So Bobby Boucher was a great character, but he was really a parody of just a weird dude. Whereas I think that Happy Gilmore was a little bit more relatable. I think his circumstance was a little bit more relatable for those of us that aren't mama's boys. And I thought the storyline, the attempt to win over Shooter McGavin and try to win all of that, I think that was a deeper storyline. However, I love The Waterboy, but I don't love it enough to have it in my top 5 or my honorable mentions. But I absolutely love it. But I do think that, Happy Gilmore is better.
I would agree. I definitely enjoyed Happy Gilmore more, and it's the good point of like you can relate to Bobby Boucher, or not Bobby Boucher. You can relate to Happy. Bobby Boucher is just like this.
He's a caricature.
He's just like over there. He's like almost isn't real. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's kind of what was the whole.
My mama says
Right.
alligators are so angry because they got all them teeth and no toothbrush. So
La
you were
medulla
saying that
oblongata.
I'll take you medulla oblongata. You were saying your 3 and 4 were interchangeable. Now, was that due to what you watch more? Or?
No, I would say my third is the reason why I came. It was tough for a little bit, but the more I sat and thought about it, 3 has a secure. This is the top 3 for a reason for me, and my third is it's Varsity Blues.
Oh yeah, I love
Varsity Blues is number 3 for me because in high school, I remember. I didn't start playing football. I first went out to go play football my 8th grade year in middle school, right? But I broke my hand the last day of summer, right? So I couldn't exactly go be a wide receiver with a broken hand. So then my coach told me, in my first football coach in 8th grade, he's like, "Yeah, just hang around, pay attention, and then you'll get the plays down when you can play." Well, my hand then is better come like end of October, right? So then I'm like, "All right, coach, where's the playbook?" He says, "I don't have a playbook. What are you talking about?" A coach that does not have a playbook, right?
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, how am I going to learn all like whatever? So I didn't end up playing. So my first year of football was my freshman year. And like I had played basketball before. I had played the European soccer game that you were referencing earlier, B-word. I had played that growing up. I had played baseball. but I always knew I loved football, and it didn't really instill how much I loved it until my freshman year when I first played. And that's what Varsity Blues hit on a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Was like just the camaraderie of a team believing in each other, all those sort of things, and also living the high school life and the lure that it kind of comes with. Oh, if you're a famous player, whatever. I mean, I was never that, but and then just that instilled like a big identity within me. So Varsity Blues was big. I felt the soundtrack really, really did well as far as like mixing in the different genres. You know what I mean? I mean, Foo Fighters, My Hero. The other day I was working out and doing a pull-up workout in the garage. Hero came on. I mean, it's on that one. So AC/DC, Thunderstruck is on that one. And those playlists never met. Song. Yeah. That never left. Those
or
never
Too Hot
left
for
my
Teacher.
playlist.
Too Hot for Teacher when you had Sarah Palin on stage.
Yeah.
It's got a booby and a Subi B word, so of course we love it. A booby and a Subi.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's your number 2, Jordan?
Number two. This is what I normally say is my favorite football film because the Remember the Titans question that I had asked before we started the top 5 countdown. But number 2, Any Given Sunday.
Oh, I love that.
It's a very good pick.
Any Given Sunday is just, I mean, the characters in it, the way that like Oliver Stone, who directed that movie, when he does something, that dude does not hide things. He tries to bring things that are generally in the dark to light and show you how dark they are when he does it. You know what I mean? Like he wants to show you the dark side of things and he wants to show you the real side of things, which generally what's hidden is the dark side when it comes to things that are as nationally and, culturally accepted, such as the NFL. And he really still highlighted the dark side and the sides that why like everyone loves it and why football in the NFL is what it is, and then of course, I mean, come on, Tony D, Al Pacino as a head coach, Peace with Inches speech. Right. I mean, come on, right? I mean, you're talking about a speech to hype you up. It don't get better.
And that speech just let alone for football players, that speech in any movie is unquestionably probably one of the top 2 or 3 speeches that have ever been given in a movie. Like as far as from a motivational standpoint or a hype speech, if you will. But there's one other movie that you mentioned with The Replacements that's not even close to it, but I always remember this speech. It's that wounds healed, chicks dig scars, and what is it?
And wounds heal, chicks dig scars, victory lasts forever, fame lasts forever.
Yeah, something like that. And I know I said I remember that all the time, and I don't remember it word for word, but every time Shane Falco says that, it's fantastic. But every time Pacino starts into that speech, man, I get goosebumps every time.
It's impossible not to. You could have never even played football, and it's like, like Nike came out with the slogan that everyone knows, just do it, which you can apply it in life, not sports, just life. You can apply the rise up to the occasion speech with the Peace with Inches speech.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
so
like
that makes your number 1, Remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans is my number 1. It would have to be. And I
why?
go back and forth on whether it's because there's so many other things that are in that movie. And the fact that it does brush up against real life incidences, like, period pieces, racial relations, how teams can, it's like when people, this has happened in football teams, like Remember the Titans showed, or it happened in the Marine Corps. Someone from the South, some white kid from the South who's never known black people, his family have told him this, that, the other about him, but then he goes into the Marine Corps and his best friend's another, and the same thing, vice versa. You know what I mean? Just people connecting despite whatever other differences were not a part of them. This is what Remember the Titans highlighted. And it's just, it's really tough for that movie to not draw on the heartstrings. Football does. That does in a real life sense away from the field. So, yeah, Remember the Titans.
Is it Denzel's best movie?
No.
Top 5?
Yeah, top 5.
Yeah. I would say it's not his best movie, but I would say it's one of his best movies for sure.
Yes.
I love how he portrayed Coach Boone. I think that the way that they brought in the race relations into it was actually really good because it wasn't accusatory toward any side, but it recognized that there's a difference across the line from one another, and that there's more in common than there is, adverse from each other. But man, every time Gary Bertier gets in that fucking car accident,
God,
dude,
it just
every
don't
fucking
drive, don't
time.
press the gas, Gary.
Yeah. Oh, I just yell at the screen like half the time, and I'm just like, "Stop! Don't do it, Gary." And he just does it every time. And
That's
he doesn't
distracted
listen.
driving, Gary. You're looking out the window and pointing at somebody. No, you, man. He's doing that. Like, no, you and the people in front of you. Don't, Gary.
Yeah.
Damn it.
See, that's the difference between real life and the replacements. Because in real life, that bitch is also hitting another
Exactly.
just like
Yeah,
that
right?
situation. So
She ran over Gary Bertier.
Yeah. Shane Falco's like, I'm a scab. I don't have all this going for me. What
Yeah.
you doing?
So you have any honorable mentions?
Go take him out.
Honorable
You have any
mention.
honorable mentions?
So I had to put this one in there because we were talking for a while. I have two things. One, the first one I'll start with is because as I was tabling this to my Sunday football crew, I've never seen North Dallas 40.
Really?
Okay.
I've never seen North Dallas 40. And so I've realized that
Great
through
movie.
yeah, that's what everyone's told me. So through this discussion, I got to see that. My honorable mention that I got to put in there just because it's one that I don't hear anyone else highlighting more than me. And it's Gridiron Gang with The Rock as
I
your
love
head
that one.
coach and Exhibit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a good one.
It's
That's a good one that also brings in real life stuff.
Mhm.
You know, you've got the gang wars, you've got the different turfs, you've got the criminal aspect to it, you've got the drive-bys, you've got the redemption story.
Mhm.
Overall, man, that one's a really good one. I agree with you.
Yeah, I'll just leave it with one honorable mention, but that's
All right.
that's
Nice.
the one.
All right,
Okay.
Jake, you want me to go or you want to go?
You can go because you're gonna shit on mine anyways. So get it over with.
All right. So my number 5 is Varsity Blues. And I think that's what Jake was thinking is my number 1.
We
But,
talk about that movie a lot.
Dude, I love Varsity Blues. I love everything about Varsity Blues. I love the fact that that the coach calls Billy Bob William Robert.
Yeah.
Like, I just think that the way that John Voight played the coach was
go.
a very real,
Let's go.
Yeah,
goddammit.
was a very real aspect to probably what you see in high school sports, especially in Texas and in other places. Tweeter.
Charlie Tweeter.
Yeah, I knew people like Tweeter, like Jake. Jake was a tweeter. And
You weren't
Mox-
built like him though, Jake. Let's just be real. You didn't have
No,
those
but
guns.
I'd go to Taco Bell naked. I mean,
Yeah,
I got
I
free
believe that.
tacos.
Oh, yeah.
We both showed
He
up
would
like
do that.
that.
a cop car.
well,
No,
he
we
would
never
end
told
up
cop
in
car.
a cop car.
One though that B word remembers is we strapped my brother to the hood of my car naked and took him through a car wash
Yep.
and then went to Taco Bell and got a bunch of free
Yep.
tacos.
And he stayed on the hood the whole time. It was funny.
Wow.
But no, Varsity Blues is good. I think when Billy Bob is in the strip club and they're all in the strip club, and like I said, that Sarah Palin lookalike is on there, Too Hot for Teacher.
That was their teacher, Miss
Yeah,
Jacobson,
one of the
right?
one of the best lines is when Billy Bob's like, "She's a 10, she's a fucking 10," and I just
Yep.
love that. I love that. It's so good. So Varsity Blues is in my top 5, rounds out my number 5 position. Number 4 is The Replacements.
Nice.
I don't know that you can get a better quarterback than Shane Falco.
You
Like
can.
well, yeah, probably talent wise. I just don't know that there's a better quarterback that's a leader than Shane Falco. The way that he brought that team together in the story, they're doing the electric slide.
Mm-hmm.
The way he bonds with the linemen and
They
even the kicker.
flip what's his name's car, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you
Yeah.
want to like
Yeah.
mess with my dude? We go,
Yeah.
And they shoot it. They
Yeah.
just pull out guns. And they just blast the fuck
Yeah.
out of his
They just start shooting his car.
Any questions? Like,
And you know, I mean, I thought that it was a really good storyline. You know, it was really reminiscent of, was it in the mid 80s when the NFL had their strike?
yeah,
And I think that that's actually what the storyline was ripped off of.
Mhm.
But I just thought it was a very entertaining movie, good sports movie. I like the kicker a lot. I forget what his name is, but the crowd loved the kicker.
oh yeah, he was smoking.
Nigel
he was,
Gruff.
Yeah,
He was
He
smoking
was-
a
Oi, oi, oi.
cigarette. He's like out there at the 50
yeah,
while he like does his pace and then
Yeah.
puts his cigarette out
He was widery. That's all I remember.
after
But,
the
yeah,
end of the
great
first
movie.
game. He's like he's got his crotch up in the post game interview chicks in the locker room, and he's just like butt ass naked with a cigarette. Cheers, babe.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
good.
I'd actually have to upon further review, I will slot that ahead of Waterboy, and I will move Replacements to 4. The more we talk about it,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll give you
No,
that.
I love the Replacements. So good. But I do think that my top 3 is better than the Replacements. So number 3 is Any Given Sunday. Now
Yeah.
we dissected Any Given Sunday when you were breaking it down. Oh man, I love everything about Any Given Sunday. I think the speech, like I said, is one of the greatest speeches in film history.
Mhm.
Or probably Cameron Diaz's top role, in my
Oh
opinion.
no, not for me.
No, see, I love the fact that she was just such a snatch. Like
She
she was just so evil in the film. But I also loved how complacent Al Pacino was, and yeah, it just and Willie Beeman, he was just a prick.
He was like, there was so much of that movie, like like even James Woods as the team's
Yeah.
orthopedist.
Oh, yeah,
when
exactly.
he
Yeah.
knew, like, think about this. That movie came out in what, 2000,
I think it
right?
was 99.
99,
2001. I thought.
2000.
Oh, okay.
Was it 2001?
I mean,
I don't know.
okay,
I
so
remember getting the soundtrack. So yeah.
the soundtrack was fire.
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx is
It was
on
so
the
good.
soundtrack.
Yeah.
Like the remix with Common and Guru from Gang. Like, I mean, that the Any Given Sunday theme song, that one's fire. But think about like that was like, we're talking early 2000s.
Yeah.
And there's that part where Shark has that discussion with them about his head. Shark LeVay, played by Lawrence Taylor,
Yeah.
right, the linebacker, and he doesn't disclose his concussion risk, his CTE risk, all of that, and he says, I didn't do it because I knew the answer. I knew what his answer was going to be.
Yeah.
And it's like you're in that doctoral position. He's like, who am I to deny this man, this magnificent person, like what he's meant to do, from doing it when I know what his answer is going to be.
Right.
Like that posed, we throughout the CTE thing was like, oh my God, it's all so bad, whatever. And sure, there's those effects, but there is something to be said for that devil's advocate in that position. You know,
Yeah.
so I thought that was just like again, like I said, Oliver Stone doing the truth justice with that movie.
Well, and Oliver Stone does a great job of bringing out the ugly and making you appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what he did with Any Given Sunday. And I think it was well casted. I don't know of any one character in that movie that probably could have been played by a different person that you'd have been like, oh, he's so much better than who was cast.
Absolutely.
I think it was great. So Any Given Sunday is my number 3. Number 2, Remember the Titans. I think Remember the Titans is an incredible movie. Obviously, we talked about it, Jordan, when you talked about Remember the Titans. I will say very similar to The Replacements when they're dancing. I love that Remember the Titans came on the field with that little dance that they did, and how they also incorporated pop culture with music, and it influenced both black and white players, and you really got to see that streamlined and how they would find commonalities. So Remember the Titans is fantastic.
And also, these women need to recognize, I know that they're fawning over Ryan Gosling. I'm just saying he couldn't cover number
goofy.
44. So I mean, don't
Right?
if y'all want this man, he's a liability. So go ahead, that's your boy, but he can't cover number 44. Yeah, no,
Well,
Right.
and check this out. They put in the dude from Scrubs.
exactly. They put the scrub in because
Hurry,
Ryan Gosling
baby.
can't cover
They
him.
put the scrub in to replace Ryan Gosling. Yeah.
Yeah,
My number 1's probably not on either of your lists.
Okay.
Invincible. Marky Mark.
No.
Vince
not on my list at
Papali, huh?
Yeah.
I
Vince
thought about
Papali.
it. I thought
What
about
a
it.
terrible.
I
You're a
liked it. Why?
Cowboys fan.
And I'm a Cowboys fan. And
Yeah,
that
okay.
tells you just how good this movie is, because it's obviously about the Philadelphia Eagles. But here's the reason why I like the movie more than just the fact that it's it's a true story and it's a motivational story. The struggles that happened in society during that time. You're dealing with people that are out of work. You're dealing with people that are on strike. You're dealing with a broken economy. You're dealing with social issues. You're dealing with all of this sort of stuff. But the one thing that brings them all together is the love of the team. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. The people in Philly that are portrayed in that movie, I know people who are from Philly that are fans of the Eagles, and they're diehard. It doesn't matter if the team's like scooping up dog shit. They're just diehard. They just want to see the team doing well. And I can appreciate that. I still think that the Eagles suck. I think the Eagles suck ass. But I do appreciate the storyline that came across with Vince Papale, how he made his way onto the team, how he was able to relate to like his dad and his neighbor and his friends and his employer at the bar and all of this sort of stuff. And he was able to relate to all of the struggles that were going on in their life. But he was their inspiration. He was the one who drug them through it. There was a couple quotes within the movie where they said that whatever the player's name was, his catch that won the game brought them through so many hard times because they would remember that time. And let me tell you, boys, that's what football's all about. You're not going to win every single year. You're not going to lose every single year. There's going to be times that you're riding the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, but the times that get you through it personally are the times that you can relate to the game and you can be proud of what they've overcome. And I don't know that you can find a better story about that in American football. So with that, Invincible's my number one.
Yeah.
So what are your two honorable mentions then?
Two honorable mentions are We Are Marshall.
Okay, thank you. I was just as we were going through this, I thought it was honorable, but yeah, that's a fire one.
Yeah, We Are Marshall's good. I think that the storyline's great. Obviously based on a true story, very sad circumstance. Matthew McConaughey, I think, was fantastic in the movie. Little odd, to be honest with you. I thought Greg Kinnear in Invincible was a little odd. McConaughey was a little odd too. So, but I really like the storyline. Good cast. And then my number two, I don't know if you guys would consider this a football movie, so we'll go from there. Jerry Maguire.
Ooh,
I do.
Ooh.
Yeah, I sort of do. I agree with you because I mean it's mainly about one
player
interaction between him and one player.
Yep.
So I'll give you that.
Yeah,
but it's centered around football. Excuse me, which is why I included it.
Okay.
But I thought Jerry Maguire was great. Obviously, the main storyline is somewhat of a romance between Jerry Maguire and his love interest, and him balancing the issue of being an agent, an out of work agent almost, and trying to build his agency in the face of failure. But I think that there's so many good things out of Jerry Maguire that are really good. I think that Cuba Gooding Jr. played that role amazingly.
Is that his best role?
No.
No.
Is it Men of Honor?
Yeah, probably Men of Honor.
Yeah, I think it's Men of Honor, and then yeah.
Yeah, but Jerry Maguire is fantastic. Tidwell. And actually, Tom Cruise was not supposed to be cast in that role initially as Jerry Maguire. It was supposed to be oh shit. While Jake's looking that up, or while Jake gives his, I'll look it up. But it wasn't supposed to be Tom Cruise initially. Okay. I want to say it was somebody odd like Robin Williams, but I'll look that up.
Okay. So my number 5, I'm actually going to go with my first, my two honorable mentions first because we already talked about it to length. Number 1's Replacements. I think it's a great movie. It doesn't make my top 5 for the reasons I have. And then number 2 is The Little Giants. It's just one of those movies that I love kid movies. I always have that nostalgia thing to where I remember, the whole Blockbuster renting it. And it was just one of those things like I could never get enough of that film. It reminded me of the Little Rascals if they joined a Pee Wee team. And I loved that about it. Plus I get to show it with my kids, there's those films that we have. Number 5 for me is Draft Day. And the reason is here's why. I'm a big fan of the TV show Ballers, right? And B-Word knows this about me. The business side of thing, I enjoy that type of dialogue and that fast cut editing and talking.
That was such a
and
fake
so to me,
movie, though.
Thank you.
That's what I love. I don't care.
It wasn't even close to the draft.
It just made me. It was so enjoyable to see how fast paced it was and how they did it. And so for me, that's why. I just enjoy watching that movie.
Kevin Costner needs to stick to baseball movies because the moment he became the GM of the Cleveland Browns, my dude was like, "Oh, well, we're gonna trade 6 picks for this one guy," and then like he gets all 6 picks back and then gets like 2 kisses on his butt cheek, and I'm like, "There's no way possible that you're gonna find that in a draft
unless you trade 6 picks for shoeless Joe Jackson." But you can't do that,
right?
Right. And then he's like, "Dad, can I have a catch?" And he throws him away. Like, what the hell is going on here? Really, Jake? That's in your top 5?
Thank you,
That's my top 5.
That movie never entered my skull as a thought.
Because you have CTE, bro. You have CTE, bro.
I thought about that for a reason. I
I'm not even gonna lie.
about that one.
Speaking of CTE, I almost thought I almost thought that Will Smith concussion was in there. I almost thought that like oh my God, Jake!
Brian's song.
Are you fucking
I
kidding me?
imagine
Like
Brian's
I'm
song's
melting
not in
down
year
right
5.
now, bro.
Yeah,
I knew this would happen.
Draft
Draft day.
That is the worst
Draft
movie
day.
mentioned on this countdown yet, by far.
Fuck you guys. Number
All right,
4.
keep
Wow.
going
You guys
with
are gonna
this
hate my
shit
list.
list.
You're gonna
By
hate
the
my
way,
list.
since we're already off the rails because Jake doesn't know how to pick a good fucking movie, the person who was supposed to be cast as Jerry Maguire was Tom Hanks.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Number 4 is The Program.
Do we even want to hear this?
Program. All right, the program is better. I'll allow that over
Yeah,
draft.
And here's
that's
why.
fine. Draft
I
I've never seen a movie that was
really-
a bust pick, but draft day, that's fitting.
Right?
That was
I really
bust.
enjoyed The Program, even though it's like a little over the top in areas, because I remember when I was being recruited for college, it reminded me a lot of that. So I could go back nostalgically and watch that.
No wonder
Plus
why
the
you like
there was
Draft Day.
really good characters in there. Yeah. Number 3 is Any Given Sunday. And I know we went into Link. The only problem I have with Oliver Stone, I'll say this, is all his movies are too long. In a sense, he
They
doesn't
are
know how to
long.
put anything on the cutting room floor.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have a story about that. So you remember the Pahrump Theater? We have some funny memories in
Yeah,
there,
the little
viewers.
airplane
But-
hanger.
Yeah. So I went to see Any Given Sunday in the theater. And you remember how everybody used to sneak in because it was like an airplane hangar? Everybody used to sneak in the side door.
Yeah.
So it's like there's only 7 of us in the theater. So it's me and 4 buddies. And then these 3 dudes walk in dragging an ice chest. And they start just pounding brews. And about halfway through, the dude is standing up during the game yelling touchdown and everything because he was so hammered. I think he really thought it was a fucking football game going on. And I'll never forget that moment where he's just in Pahrump just yelling, fuck yeah, my team's winning. I put money on this. And I'm just watching it go, what the fuck is happening?
Man, I want to figure out
Number
what group
2.
those were.
Remember the Titans.
Okay.
And I'm going through mine fast because we've dialogued a lot of this, and I feel the same way as you guys about a lot of these.
Left
But number 1 for
side,
me is Varsity
strong
Blues.
side. Varsity Blues number 1. Okay.
Varsity
Oh,
Blues
so-
is number 1 for me.
So that's why you
the
thought we were going to be the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
The soundtrack's great. I love the characters. It reminds me of me and B-Word growing up in a small town with sports. I wasn't allowed to play football because I made the team every year, and then because I played baseball year round, and my parents just were like, "Nope, you're a baseball player. You're going to probably go, so just do your thing." And I always reminded a lot of my friends of Tweeter. B-Word was our Billy Bob. I mean, we had a lot of
William
fun.
Robert.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. I love that movie. I mean, it's got a boobie and a subie. It's got a whipped cream bikini with Ali Larder.
Sure
I
does.
don't want, you'll laugh. It's very quotable. The coach
Very
is
quotable.
amazing. And I just, everything about it I love. I even love Paul Walker's character in that movie, even though he's sort of a shitbag.
He's
It's-
Paul
it's a
Walker.
great
He's
fucking flick.
he's the same dude. I swear he
Yeah, he's a
graduated
shitbag.
high school and then he met freaking Vin Diesel and raced cars for the rest of his life. I mean, it's the same dude.
All the way up
So
until
I
the
didn't-
end of his life, to be honest with you.
Yeah. R.I.P. I mean, but I'm
I'm not getting into what I was going to say. I'm not going to get. So I didn't mean to go through mine so fast, but it was because we dialogued about a lot of them. Plus, you guys hate my fucking picks. So fuck.
No,
you.
I just hate draft.
But
I
I hate
day.
draft day. I hate
Okay.
draft day.
That's the
That was
only
a terrible pick.
Yeah, I'll give you
Well, speaking
program.
of
Terrible
picks,
You could have picked the longest yard. You could have picked the longest yard with Adam Sandler.
Yeah,
You could have picked Brian's song
Rudy.
with Gail Sayer. Rudy.
oh
Yeah,
Rudy, no.
Brian.
If anybody picks Rudy, fuck you. That movie sucks so bad.
I'm gonna
exactly.
tell you right now-
exactly, but Rudy over
Rudy is
draft
so
day.
much better than draft day.
Yes,
You guys are wrong.
So much better
You
than
guys are
like. You thought I was going to shit on your number 1. No, I'm shitting on your number 5 or whatever that was. That was terrible.
yeah.
Well, speaking of picks, then, all right, fuck you guys. I want to hear this. What player out of all these movies that's not real are you building a fucking team around?
Not Kevin Costner is my GM. Let's just start there.
Good pick. I'll give you that.
I mean, all right. So if I had to build one, like a team around there's a lot because it's like we had mentioned the kicker.
That's
and
fine. You can have
replacements.
multiple guys like that you like. Yeah.
Yeah. If I had to build it around one person, who comes to mind, honestly, there's 2 guys, and they're quarterbacks. Just because generally, the movie center on the quarterbacks. It's either Willie Beeman or it's Shane Falco. Those would be my 2 guys. I mean, Willie Beeman. I mean, if you remember at the end of Any Given Sunday, when they had the game-winning drive, And I love that scene because Dennis Quaid was the starting quarterback generally, and he got hurt. That's what got Willie in the game. And then they went with Dennis Quaid in the first half. And then Willie watches him in the first half and says he learned more from watching Cap Rooney in that first half than he did in 5 seasons as a backup.
Yeah.
And when they're showing that first half, they're playing Bill Withers' Use Me. They keep trying to tell me, that Bill Withers song, right?
Yeah.
So I love that song. And like, that's when
it's a great song.
Yeah. But then you use me up. Like, think about like use me up. Like they're using Cap for everything that he has until Willie comes in. And then at the end of the movie during the credits, they show Tony D up there when he talks about he's taken over the new team in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And they just flash his ring. His ring. He won the Pantheon Cup. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even have to make it that. You know what I mean? So Willie Beeman obviously went to greater heights when the movie ended. And this is just, we saw this trajectory of this guy. So I'd probably say Willie Beeman number 1, Shane Falco number 2.
See, I'm with you on Willie Beeman. I would pick Willie Beeman 1. I mean, it reminds me a lot of the time when I was watching Michael Vick too, and I'm not just that comparison, just the style of play and everything, the way it was written. But also, I mean, I think he was selfish, but at the end of the movie, there's like that redemption where you could see him leading a team because he learned from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because also, if I was going to pick a coach based on like players I wrote down that I like in certain positions, I'm picking Tony D.
And
the reason is over Denzel's coaching is because Denzel to me was a defensive coach. Well, and I'm going heavy because that speech where he talks to him about not letting him get an inch when there's the racist refs.
Yeah.
That tells me enough that he could hype that defense up and he can win a game 7-0. So if I was going to coach around these guys,
but that's that quote you made. He says, "I don't want them to gain another yard. If they do, I'm taking every last one of you out."
Yeah.
Right. No, but in real football, they gained 2. All of y'all subbed out. All the backups in, and now he lost. I remember that. I remember that. Like that's
next thing you know, he's promoted to GM at the Browns.
Yeah. And then they make a movie called Draft Day 2, and only Jake watches it.
Herman Boone, new GM.
All right. So B-Word, who you picking for? Let's go.
I struggle between 2. One of them's a quarterback.
Okay.
So if we're just doing quarterbacks, I'm going to go Shane Falco. So I already showed my hand when I was going through the replacements on my top 5. But the reason why is because I think he's more of a uniter than he is talented. And I think that the talent around him will make him better because they believe in him. And so I equate him more to like, and I know I'm a Cowboys fan, but like to a Tony Romo. So Tony Romo had skills, but Tony Romo was not the greatest quarterback at all. Or like Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford had skills, but Matthew Stafford is not the greatest quarterback at all. And I think that the team around the quarterback will help to not only make the quarterback who the quarterback is, but will also help to make the team better overall. And I think that Shane Falco has that uniting factor. He has the leadership of, let's say, a Tom Brady without the talent. He has the leadership of a Russell Wilson without the talent. And so I do think that the team will play better around him because of who he is as opposed to what he can do.
Yeah.
Right. See, I think if we went with other positions, like I think we would all pick the kicker from replacements, not because it would just be fucking hilarious, but I think he would get it done.
You're not going to go with Tony Danza?
No.
The kicker from replacement signing would be the equivalent of Urban Meyer signing Tim Tebow just because we like him. You know what I mean?
It's okay. You know what? Yeah. You know why he was signed, Jordan? Because he was on fucking draft day 2. Okay. Fuck.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
No. They needed a prayer for that movie to do any money, so they signed Tim Tebow. I guess that's what happened.
Tight end, I'm picking Brian Murphy from the replacements, the deaf guy.
Yeah. He was fire.
I think. The problem is, too, there's not a lot of players for that. But if you were going to pick, I'm going to throw this out there, a running back, who are you picking?
Can I go with Bobby Boucher as running back?
No.
You could.
But, if you want, I don't know how it's going to work out.
I don't know that it would be great. I think, so on the replacements, or I'm sorry, on the longest yard with...
Nelly, right?
Yeah. I would pick Nelly's character on the longest yard, I think.
That reminds me that Adam Sandler was in 2 football movies as Bobby Boucher and then the quarterback in the Longest Yard remake.
Yeah.
I'm going with Darnell Jefferson from the program. I think he's a better running back all around.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
That was a good
go.
portrayal.
I'm going with. I mean, if I'm gonna go with running back, I mean, I'm probably going with. It's a tough one. I mean, there's Wendell. You could go with Wendell, who was in Varsity Blues, ended up getting his scholarship to Brown. I'm probably going with. Well, that's the show. That's the series. Booby Miles, Friday Night Lights.
Oh, Booby, Friday Night Lights.
You know, he got hurt, but
Yeah.
like Booby was on that path, and then Waterbug was able to come up and and behind him and do.
I've never seen that movie.
What about
Friday
the
Night
show?
Lights is a worthwhile watch, dude.
It's good. Like, yeah,
Never
it
seen
didn't make my honorable mentions, and it didn't make
Right.
any. I mean, if you love Draft Day, you're gonna think this is the best. This movie gonna make you cry, happy tears. If you love Draft Day, I'm just gonna say it right now.
I got hot takes, man. What can I fucking
On
say?
Draft Day, I want to draft everybody from that high school team.
We're gonna trade for everybody.
For a seventh
so last
round pick.
offensive, last offensive guy I'll ask is who's the best wide receiver. I think I know everybody's obvious pick, but I would like to hear.
Charlie Tweeter's got to be the best wide receiver.
I don't think he's the best wide receiver. I think he's like he would hype up the team and everything, but I think Rod Tidwell's the best wide receiver.
Rod Tidwell.
Tidwell's
He's
the
doing
best
the NFL. Rod Tidwell.
Yeah, I'm going to say Rod Tidwell, but in the longest yard with Adam Sandler, Cheeseburger Eddie.
It's a good one.
Was he a wide receiver?
Eddie. I don't know. I don't remember that movie that
I
well.
remember I used to, so when Any Given Sunday, I used to watch Any Given Sunday before like JV football games, but by that time it was on HBO. So I recorded it on a VHS tape with HBO hooked up. You know what I mean? We can all relate to that. But anyway, there's that scene where Bill Bellamy, he's the receiver. He's Sanders, I believe, in Any Given Sunday. And he's in the mirror and he's like, I'm the best wide receiver that's ever lived. Nobody can guard me. Yeah, that's real. And like,
see, I just
one
remember
time before a game,
him
I
with
was
toilet
like,
paper.
I'm gonna do that before a game. Stupid.
See, I just remember that scene with him where he imagines the football is toilet paper, and it's in the air, and that's how he catches the ball. That's all I'll remember about that.
Toilet paper.
But yeah, when they throw it, he has to imagine it's soft for soft hands. But a weird pick for me would be Forrest Gump if you just did Hail Marys.
You know, I thought about that. Is Forrest Gump? If Forrest Gump's a football movie, if it is, I don't think it is because I think
was he a wide receiver or was he?
He's a kick returner, so he can catch the ball and he can run fast.
He didn't
know.
He didn't catch it. The other dude caught it. The other dude caught it, and he's standing there just looking aimlessly.
Yeah.
And then the dude runs up to him, hands it to him. Forrest, run. Okay. Touchdown.
Okay.
And then
I guess maybe he'd be a better
zone out into the state. Like he played football for such a short time. Like he literally was on that marathon longer than he was under the helmet and in the cleats.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't feel like that. But I mean, if we're just talking movies, to me, that's the best movie we've referenced all night.
All right, I do got one last one because we didn't do anybody on defense. Who's a better player, Bateman from the Replacements for defense, Bobby Boucher, or Latimer from the program? On roids, not off roids.
That's a hard one, man.
Yeah.
Right.
So Bateman Replacements is the linebacker.
That's,
he's John Favreau.
John Favreau, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm back.
I got the ball. I got the ball. You got the ball. I got the ball. Go sit down.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Bateman.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go with Bateman. It's a toss up, I think, between Bateman and Boucher, but I think Bateman has better discipline and more of a drive than Bobby Boucher does. I just think that Bobby Boucher has some really weird skills.
Animalistic, just run through like the Rhino on Spider-Man. I would go with
or
Bateman
like Jim
because
Carrey in the Rhino on Ace Ventura Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
See, I think Bateman's more coachable, and you could get him to like. Do you think Bobby Boucher is? If you just want a guy that's just gonna scream and run over all everybody, that's fine. But how long is also that gonna last?
Yeah. Those those are the two that I were debating on as well. I'd probably, the thing that I loved about Bateman's character, and that a lot of people that don't know the Replacements like we do a lot of them just think he was some idiot. But if you looked at this guy outside of his pads, outside of his helmet, he would just sit there and talk and be a normal guy.
Yeah.
But it was the way that football can bring out a portion of yourself that may not be referenced in any other setting or atmosphere. That was brought to life when he put on the pads and the cleats. So
right.
So that's I'll go.
He's in one
Bateman too.
100%.
Yeah, he's in one of my favorite scenes one of them in The Replacements is when he's sitting at the table, and I don't remember the other player that's sitting across from him.
The safety,
the one who was the convict.
Safety. Yeah, the safety.
Yeah, and then the receiver comes over, he sits down, he goes, yeah, and he's like, oh, what we locked up? And he's like, yeah, fuck cops. And then Bateman goes, I'm a cop, and you see those two get along, and he's just like, shit, I don't know what to fucking do right now.
He's like, yeah. So he's like, where were you at before this? I was a cop. Where were you at before this? Prison.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just eating breakfast and lunch.
Such a good movie. Boys. Well, this was fun. Jordan, real quick again for the audience, will you go ahead and shout out your podcast and also your socials?
Yeah, socials, the Cover Zero podcast. You can check us out on Spotify. You can check me out on Instagram at JR Sports Bars. On Facebook, just Jordan Robinson. The way that I have with the pod, you send me the request, I add. You might get a tag when a podcast comes up. You might not, but you're going to hear a lot of football info on that. And then shout out to SSAW, all of our links, all of our pods together. It's real great. And then at JRobs all 22 on Twitter. And yeah, thanks for having me on. The Cover Zero podcast will be dropping again on Thursday morning, and a recap dropping to you on Monday morning as well. And yeah, really appreciate being on, guys. This was a lot of fun, and just to be able to talk about like football movies in a podcast format and like food. These are things that my podcast mainly goes deeply into, all the analysis and a lot of fantasy stuff and betting stuff and like the nitty gritty of football. But to do it from just the, heartfelt fun aspect like this, very, very much enjoyable. And I caught myself going down a lot of memory lanes, and I thank y'all for that.
No, it was awesome having you, dude. Like I said, it's good to reconnect again. I'm sure we'll do something again like this in the future. And you're welcome back anytime, in my opinion. I don't know what B-Word's going to say, but he sucks. So,
I mean, be careful with that opinion. He has draft day in his top five.
You do, bro. You do.
I mean, Jordan, you're welcome back anytime. I definitely appreciate this, man. I mean, I know that we're all sports fans here, and Jake and I have an entertainment podcast, but for you to come on and bless us with your content, and also just get involved in some of the shenanigans we're doing, couldn't be happier. Thank you so much. Yeah, like Jake said, you're welcome anytime. And with that, guys, I'm just going to shout out our socials. You can find us at Bleach Bros Podcast or at Bleach Bros Pod, just depending on what social platform you're on. You can subscribe to us on all the major podcast networks, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Pandora, Spotify, etc. And with that, Jake, what do you got for us?
thanks for all the dirty talk. Come back and get sanitized.